Like, I'm sure we didn't just begin when we popped out of mommy's womb and started breathing. Like, we were there 5 months ago, maybe, so in a consciousness, or 8 months.
Right.
And we don't just end when our body stops breathing. Some people come back after 3 minutes. Some people come back after 15 minutes of being frozen in Arctic waters and they're not brain dead. Some people have near-death experiences which changes their whole life. You can read about them. In Tibetan, we have a whole class of literature about that from the Daylok, the returners, who've had near-death experiences. This goes back over centuries.
Right.
And even into 21st century, somebody has this karma to be a Daylok, a returner, and they tell mostly moral tales about what happens if you do this or that. Or they said somebody, you know, that gossip in that village, she was reborn as like a noisy prayer flag or something. You know, I think it was a prayer flag. She was reborn as like a flapping communist flag or something. It was kind of like a joke, but you know what I mean? It was like, so don't gossip is the moral of the story. But they came back, they saw, and they also know that like everything's going to be fine, and we're on in the bigger picture. Having a bad hair day or a bad hair year or a bad hair lifetime ain't the end of the world. There are people without limbs, and there are people being tortured, and people losing children, and you know, we can't take this all so seriously, but everything we do counts and matters. So most of their stories would have, being Buddhist, a moral tale, a moral at the end, but there's also a lot of information there.
Tell us
like
about
how seeds habits reproduce themselves in the chain of rebirth.
We'll talk about reincarnation
what goes
in a
around
minute.
comes around.
Tell us about your, and we were talking about this earlier. Share with us any enlightenment experiences that you've had, or mystic experiences.
Yes.
Your own personal experiences.
I understand. First, I have to say, and especially since this is the beginning of your enlightenment experiences podcast or series, that at least in the Asian Eastern traditions, we're always told by our teachers not to talk about our spiritual experiences or what we've done, like how much practice we did, or how many prayers and mantras we did, or how long we've been a monk or a nun or a celibate or, you know, a meditator, and certainly not to talk about enlightenment experiences, because it swells your pride and it gives other people obstacles, like they're jealous of that, or they try to imitate what you had instead of freshly discovering it for themselves.